Everyone, welcome to Carindale Henty Sewing and Knitting Centre, and today I thought I'd just show you what happens if your bobbin falls out of your machine. We've had quite a few customers ask us about this, and I thought I'd just show you what to do and how to put it all back. So we're going to work on the Silver 302 today, and we're going to show you specifically what happens if your bobbin inside of here falls out and you need to fix it back to set your machine again, or if you have a jam on your machine, and how to take that bobbin out and put it back to resolve it. On this machine, when you pull this one out of here, this tray out, the accessory tray, you'll be able to access the bobbin. So when you pull the tray down here, you've got the bobbin area inside there. So sometimes you might get a jam of threads that's in here if it's all knotted up for some reason, or you might get your needle stuck in there and you can't actually move your machine. So how to resolve that and how to put it back. What you normally do is, sometimes if your needle's actually stuck in there as well and you can't actually get your fabric out at all, or other things like that too. So what I normally do, or what you do, is the two little levers here that can secure those bobbin housing in, you push it out like that, you see, and it automatically falls out. And then you think, oh dear, now what? Because it's all in a mess and everything falls out, which is what you're left with, which is these two, and your bobbin, and usually your bobbin case. Sometimes that might even fall out with it stuck on there, but you can easily get that off because you just pull that off from there like that. Okay, so you put your bobbin to one side and the bobbin case to one side for a moment, because we're going to put it all back. So once you've cleaned out your jam or your threads that are stuck in there, or even just general cleaning, and you've put a little brush around it, put a tiny little bit of oil on your finger here and just rub around there just slightly. That's all you need, just to keep that mechanism lubricated. But obviously you will need to put it all back together so that you can start sewing again. And we get this asked quite a lot. It's quite a common thing that happens. Sometimes people will knock these little levers here and they'll just fall out. Okay, so how to put it back together. So that mechanism's going to move, and that's the one half of the whole bobbin case housing. And so that needs to be on the left hand side and centrally placed in the middle between the 2 points of the metal C that's there, like a half moon. When you turn your flywheel, which is just over here, this one here, as you turn that mechanism there inside is going to move. Okay, turn it towards you until that mechanism ends up being on the left hand side and it's vertical from the 6 o'clock point here to the 12 o'clock point at the top there that you can probably just about see. And then your other piece that fell out of your machine, you can see it like this. Look, it's got two little prong forks at the bottom, two holes at the top, and it hasn't got, you know, any sort of forks or anything at the top there. So basically this piece here is the bit that your bobbin sits onto when it's all put back together. So we're about to put this back in. So you see where this this little fork is, you can't, if I can see it, I'll show it you a bit better. Look, you've got, there it is there, look. That has to go towards the bottom of the mechanism. This bit goes to the top. Hold it by the little pin there and pop it in onto that. So I'm going to try and do it so you can see it without, so you can see what I'm doing, but basically you're fitting it into that area there. So it's going to go in like that. You've got to go straight in. It's harder for me to do it this way. Yeah, there you go, straight in like that. Okay, so that's now sitting flush in that circle. Now to hold all that together, this is the piece that holds it together. You'll notice on this piece here that there's at the bottom there's like a little peg, okay, and at the top there's a little cutout piece that's already, you know, a shaped piece that's already in that ring, and that is the bit that fits your bobbin fits into when you clip it into there once it's all back and attached onto the machine. So that goes to the top, okay, and these two little indents here is where you're going to clip this back over afterwards, these two little levers here overwards to seal it all in. So if you put this little peg here that little peg bit there, I'll turn upside down, you can see that a bit better, look. That little bit there has got to fit into the little section just there, if you can see that in there, look. There, you'll feel it, there's an indent in there. That clips on, that fits onto it. And then this bit fits at the top like that. So when you go to put it in, you're going to put it in like that so that it clips in and it fits flush all the way around. There it goes, just clipped in. Okay. I don't know if you can see that better if I just lift that up a little bit like that. So that's all clipped in there, ready to go. And then to keep that in place, this lever here you push over onto the little indent that's just there. So we just do that. And then on the other side, we do the same. And if I can just turn the machine around a little bit to show you, on that side, I'm going to have to put this down this way. You bring it across like that. Okay, whoops, sorry, close that over. Yeah, so you bring them both across so that they're in tight onto those indents in there, and that holds all that in place. And then the last thing you do then is to put your bobbin back into the machine, and obviously thread up the top as you would normally. So to put your bobbin in, on one side here there's a tension to it, which we'll do within another video, but you don't have to alter that. But that's, if you ever did, that's where your tension is. Normally it's top tension you alter, you never usually alter this one. But if we turn it around, okay, then we can see what's going on. I call this a piggy tail because it's the thing to, it's an easy thing to remember really. But if you put your piggy tail up, okay, facing upwards, and your bobbin is then coming off the right hand side, so it's hanging from the right and it's running clockwise, you pop one into the other, so this one sits onto that peg in there like that. Okay, then I usually hold on to the bobbin like that, and then, because otherwise it's just going to keep running out all the time and possibly fall out. So you're better off holding it like that just for a second and turning it slightly towards you. So now you can see where the thread's going to go. It's going to go in that guide and through this tension. Okay, this is the tension area. So when you do it, you're going to pull it under it and up a little bit, and then just into that clip there. You've just got to go like that. You hear a little click, and then if you let go, you know it's got some tension on it. If it's dropping, there's something else wrong with it, but at the moment that's how it should be. Okay, and then you take your thread to the left hand side and then put this back in. Now, first of all, don't forget to just check that this is actually running round clockwise, because if it's not running clockwise while it's facing you in this position, then it's never going to sew or pick up your threads if you've got it the other way around. So then we turn it round and hold it tight like this. I find it easier than trying to use this locking mechanism to hold that in place. The little hole on there fits onto the peg there, okay, like that. Right, and then I'll just tip this back a bit so you can actually see what's going on. Level it up with your little shape there for the piggy tail to fit into, and then give quite a hard press like that, and it'll click in place. Once you've heard the click, you know that that's in correctly. Okay, so having put all that in place like that, you then thread up your machine like you would normally do, and we'll probably do a little video on that a bit later on, so do have a look at that later, to thread up the top part of your machine and thread up the needle. So we've got that already, and then you've got to then get your top thread out to one side like that, turn the wheel towards you to make a full stitch, so it'll come, the needle come down, it'll go round, and you'll see the pink in a minute, wrap around the bobbin case. There it is, coming round. To pick up, as I'm still turning this flywheel, to pick up the thread underneath like that, and then it should just pull up like that when you pull your thread at the left hand side to pull up your thread, and there's your stitch made. And then you grab the thread, pull it out, bring the two threads you've now got, the top and the bottom, underneath the foot, cut it off at there, and now you're ready to sew. So then you can put up your case back up on there, put your accessory tray back on to give you some space to start sewing, and then you're ready to start sewing. So we've put the bobbin case back in, all the jams have been cleared out, and everything's all ready to go. We threaded up the top and brought up the bobbin thread, and now we're ready to sew. So we're just going to do a test to make sure that it's working correctly. You can always actually just tell anyway that it's already working correctly, if I just backtrack a little bit, by just turning that wheel around, and actually the fact that it pulled up a thread and made the first stitch, you know that you've put all that housing back in correctly, because if you hadn't done that, there'd be, you know, it wouldn't turn at all. So we know that that's going to work. And then we can just check that our stitch length and everything's correct on our machine, do a test sewing now just to make sure it's right. So I'm just going to turn this on to the A stitch here, which is there for straight stitch, and you can see on here that denotes your straight stitch. And then I'm just going to put it on 2.5 stitch lengths for cotton weight fabric just to test it. And then I'm just going to sew it and make sure that it tests out right. So I'll just put my foot down on the pedal now and make sure that we're working correctly. There we go. And it's sewing lovely. And there's the little reverse. So we'll just reverse it back. Have a look and see if we've got our test done and it's working. And we should be ready to go. There we are. Perfect. So thanks for watching the video, and we hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.